Those who make peaceful revolution impossible will make violent revolution inevitable.
Revolution.
First, what is a revolution?
Revolution is the solution, hey.
The motive of a revolution.
Well, nah.
The objective of a revolution.
Be televised.
And the result of a revolution. And the methods used in a revolution.
I know you know. Put my gun away. Never gonna put my gun away. Put my gun away. See the mob, you better run away.
This generation of Americans has already had enough, more than enough, of war and hate and oppression.
Palisades to Altadena, smoke in the sky. We were coughing in the kitchen, she was saying, bye-bye. Spencer, saca la basura. Look what she left on our block. LA looking like a closet where the junk can talk. Spencer, saca la basura. Bag it up, roll it out to the street. Latinos por Pratt, we're singing, cause we're tired of this dirty beat. Sleek and smooth, World Cup coming, nowhere to move. Just lines, delays, we're studying that. But every single pothole still attacks my tires flat. Spencer, saca la basura. All this mess, all this spin, from Hollywood to City Hall. Feels like the trash moved in. Spencer, saca la basura. Tweet that nonsense fast. Latinos, Fort Pratt, we're laughing, cause this clown show can't last.
Hello, Internet. Hope everybody's having a fantastic evening. What is going on here? Why is my screen all messed up, you guys? How's everybody doing tonight? Let's see. Check the chat. Danger, what's going on? Yara, nice to see ya. Let's see. I know the song. It's it's super catchy. Like I want to break out in some merengue when I hear the song. Yeah, it's like legitimately super catchy. That is Spencer Pratt's new campaign ad, and basura means trash. So he's taking out the trash. Karen Basura. Anybody that's been on a job site knows what that means. So I just thought it was funny, and I thought we should probably just talk about that stuff tonight. So why the hell is my screen all messed up? There we go, because I'm an idiot. That's why. So what's going on? Everybody having a happy Sunday? It's beautiful weather in California, like always during this time of year, and I am loving it, except I can't run because I hurt my back and I'm getting old and it's depressing, but hopefully tomorrow I'm going to give it a shot. Yeah, a lot of California stuff to talk about tonight, and then I'll get into some Iran stuff later just to, end the show on stuff that makes me mad. California stuff makes me mad too, but yeah, honestly, it's hard for me to focus on the little California stories, even though they're important, and that's more of my wheelhouse. With all the shit that's going on in Iran right now, it is definitely hard for me to sort of stay focused on California topics. So we'll get right into it. If you're here, like the stream, hit that like button down there for me. It'd be a huge help trying to grow this channel. So, as you guys know, Spencer Pratt is running for mayor of LA. Why am I talking about the mayor of LA? I don't live in LA. I'm 400 miles north of LA. Why am I not talking about the Santa Cruz mayor? Because the mayoral race in Santa Cruz is going to yield the exact same thing that it yields every race, and that is another crazy radical progressive that's just going to pander to downtown Santa Cruz, which is essentially pride flags, BLM flags, and homelessness everywhere. So, it'll be the same old rhetoric. And Spencer Pratt is sort of a breath of fresh air with policy suggestions on what should be done in crazy cities like LA, and LA being one of the most important cities in California. I figured it's something we should talk about. So also, Spencer Pratt is the only candidate, it might even be the only candidate running for any race in California that's actually talking about the dogs, who actually talks about the dogs on Skid Row. As you guys know, I had Joey Tuccio on earlier this week. I believe it was Wednesday. And he went over all of the horrific things he sees on Skid Row. And he went on Spencer Pratt's podcast and had some pretty interesting things to say. And it's nice to see somebody that's running for mayor that actually has a chance of winning talking about these sorts of issues. So we'll go over to Spencer Pratt's page himself and listen to this quick clip of Joey Tuccio on his podcast.
It's been everything to get the fuck away from me, to taking out a knife, to take this dog. If you don't take this dog, I'm going to shoot the dog in the head. He took me by the neck and said, I'm going to show you how I break dogs' necks. We have the resources, we could help, but they're not listening. They're just throwing dogs in shelters and they're trying to hide everything.
So where in your mind does all of this homeless money that Karen Bass, where is the billions going?
Paychecks, millions of dollars. And it's disgusting. Well, animal rescuers, we don't make $0. We don't get a salary. We don't get donations. All goes back to Karen Bass. She does not enforce the laws. She's so quick to hide everything. She's so quick to embrace these criminals that are doing this because she doesn't want to look bad. Well, we're going in, risking our lives to save these dogs. She is a coward. She's fake. And she's a liar. And when she said that on ABC, that the animals are not neglected on Skid Row, I was like, okay, you're pure evil.
These people don't care if human beings are ODing all day long on the street. 80% of the firefighters' calls are for people ODing on the street. So the jump for us to expect them to care about dogs, these people don't care about life.
Please tell me you didn't care.
Yeah, so Spencer talks a lot about the fire situation that happened. That's why Spencer's running, is because of the entire breakdown of government during the Palisades and Altadena fires, and how none of it needed to get as out of control as it did. And fire should have been stopped 7 days before they actually became the raging inferno that they did, that killed, I believe, how many people did it kill? It wasn't like 18 people. It was a, decent amount of people. It wasn't like nobody was injured during that fire. It was a horrific scene. So that's why Spencer started running. But, he talks a lot as well about the same thing we talk about on this show all the time: the homeless industrial complex, the massive fraud and waste. And you can't even call it incompetence anymore because it's so rampant. Just more tax dollars from us every year. Nothing ever gets done. Problems get worse. And it's like, where did all the money go? Nobody can ever account for it. So here's another quick clip of the, crazy homeless dog situation. And this is Skid Row again. So you guys know what it looks like. I don't even want to play these, but Spencer says, Karen Becerra says we're lying about our dogs being mistreated on the streets because she doesn't want to be held accountable. The truth is simple. The neglect is real. And they literally try to sweep this under the rug and say there's no problem. Joey talked about this on the show, that they just pretend it's not a problem. So this is from Stand Up for Pit Bulls Foundation. It says, this is Los Angeles, California on Skid Row. This is what Karen Bass allows to happen to dogs daily in plain sight: mass breeding, selling dogs, being stabbed, shot up with drugs, raped by humans, I'm not supposed to say that word on here. She gaslights and tells the public, creates fake initiatives which do nothing. So they really try to pretend like there's no problem going on in the streets of LA with the homeless situation and the dog situation. So there's Spencer Pratt running against Karen Bass. And then there's this chick who is a member of the city council, I believe. Her name is Nithya Raman. And she's even more radical than Karen Bass. And Karen Bass is a straight up communist. Like, look into her past. She's a legitimate, Marxist. And This chick's even worse. And a lot of people are speculating that they put her in there to sort of counter Spencer, because Spencer's gaining a lot of traction, and he's polling third place right now, but his poll numbers aren't horrible, and most people haven't decided who they're voting for. So let's listen to some stuff that Nithya Raman has to say, so you can get an idea of who these other candidates are. You already know who Karen Bass is. You already know what she stands for. But these are the two candidates in running for mayor in LA. You've got Spencer Pratt, who has practical solutions for actually, you can't solve homelessness. You're never going to solve homelessness in California, but improving the problem and, cutting the the homelessness industrial complex. Well, you've got Spencer, you've got Karen Bass, who we already know how horrible she is. And then you've got this chick, Nithya Raman. So let's listen to her talk at the No Kings protests yesterday.
My name is Nithya Raman. I am a mom. I am an urban planner. And I am an immigrant to this country. I came to the United States with my mother when I was 6 years old because my family was looking for a better life. We believed in America as a place of opportunity.
Wait for the words like equity or diversity and inclusion or something like that. They're bound to happen somewhere in here.
A place where your future here is not decided by your last name. It isn't decided by the color of your skin. It isn't decided from where you were born. It's decided by your hard work and this place as a place of opportunity. As a local elected representative, I have fought to ensure the safety of all Angelenos. I wrote the city's sanctuary ordinance.
Okay, that should tell you all you need to know right there. I wrote this city's sanctuary ordinance. So what does that mean, sanctuary ordinance? It means they're going to protect illegal immigrants from getting deported, even if they're criminals. That's what that means. She cares more about illegal immigrants coming here than she does about native Californians and Angelenos. I hate that term, Angelenos. It's so annoying.
I codified into law a simple premise that no city resources, not a person who works for the city, will ever be used for immigration enforcement in this city, a city of immigrants.
Okay, so 10%, it's like 9.25% of the Los Angeles population is here illegally. Like, really freaking think about that. That's millions of people. There's like 10 million people in LA? 10% of them are here illegally. And I don't have any problem with people coming here the legal way, but California being a sanctuary state, having sanctuary state policies, and then spending tons of California taxpayer dollars on, health insurance for illegal immigrants and all sorts of other illegal immigrant policies. And people will say, "Oh, well, it's a net positive. They contribute more than they take." And I don't believe that. I believe those are false statistics, but it genuinely seems like a lot of leaders in California are so concerned about bringing as many people in as possible while the middle class struggles to get by and moves away. You got to ask why.
And it is not enough to say ICE out of LA. We must abolish ICE. And we must rip every vulnerability out of the system that has allowed a single individual, this president, to violate the law against the people of this country. We must stop everything that has happened that has caused this government to turn against our own people. We must.
Our own people? So one of the most frustrating things about this is a No Kings protest. You're not hearing anything about being anti-war. Like, if you're going to be protesting against anything Donald Trump's doing right now, shouldn't you at least mention the war stuff? And if she's running for mayor of LA, shouldn't she be talking about some of the biggest issues facing LA? The housing is unaffordable. There's homelessness everywhere. There's drug addiction everywhere. Infrastructure is crumbling. The fires that just happened, she's not addressing any of the most important issues. All she wants to talk about is Orange Man bad, and we need to protect illegal immigrants. That's all she has to say.
Stop it, friends. We have so much work to do. But I stand here and say, I am with all of you, and we have no fear in this fight. We say no kings in Los Angeles. No kings in the USA. No kings in the USA. No kings.
Jesus. These protests are so frustrating because they're so inorganic. They don't actually have any sort of central, like, is that your message? No kings? We don't want a king? Look at Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom locked down the state for almost 3 freaking years, destroyed small businesses, wouldn't allow people, tried to force a vaccine on kids. Let's talk about the elephant in the room here. It's frustrating. It's frustrating. I'm sorry. It's frustrating. All right, let's just look at the polling really quick. Blue Katu, nice to see you. So in LA, so Mayor Karen Bass leads the 2026 LA mayoral race in recent polling. Of course she does. So multiple polls from March 2026 show Bass with 20 to 25% support among likely voters. So right now it's polling Bass is about 25%, then Nithya Raman is polling at about 17%, and then Spencer Pratt is right on our heels at 14%. But 25% of people are still undecided. So, I mean, those numbers aren't adding up. That's what, 80% right there? So I guess, okay, whatever. Emerson College, Bass is at 20%, Pratt is at 10%, and Raman is actually at 9.3%. So Pratt and Raman are sort of jockeying back and forth. I mean, it does actually make sense that Raman was actually put in there to, I don't see her drawing any votes from Pratt, though. So I guess what it could do is it's just putting Raman in there would be designed to have 2 Democrats go off into the runoff because of our jungle primary system. The top 2 vote getters move on. So if Nithya Raman is in there and she gets 12% and Pratt gets 10%, Pratt's out after the primaries. So that could be the objective here. All right, let's continue because I got a bunch of California stuff to get through before I get to the other things I want to talk about tonight. So I'm starting off with just LA topics right now because the LA fires, the people that lost their homes in LA fires are still dealing with nonsense. So this is from Wall Street Apes. He says residents that had their homes burned down in the Eaton fire during the Pacific Palisades fires. Never mind. The Eaton fires, not the Pacific Palisades, but are now receiving water bills from the city. So people that don't even have houses anymore are receiving water bills from the city. So let's watch this quick clip. People that don't live there, don't have houses there, are getting water bills from the city.
So you don't even have a meter still on this property?
No, there's nothing. It was right here on the side of the house.
Ricky Parrish says even the water meter on his lot was destroyed. His property right now is mostly bone dry dirt. Ricky says he was stunned when earlier this month he saw this bill for $37.85. Most of it is for a water service charge. A few bucks of the bill are for a catastrophic loss fund.
I thought this is ridiculous. How can they charge us for something that we don't have? We haven't used water in over a year.
I think that this is something that is outrageous.
Retiree Cynthia Pareo received the same bill after the fire turned her home to ash.
So, I mean, you might just be saying it's only $37. What's the big deal? It's the fact that they're still charging people that aren't living there, can't build yet. And I mean, it's been a nightmare for these people completely.
I retired and I'm on a fixed income. And so, we're on a really serious budget now.
Both Cynthia and Ricky are customers of the Lincoln Avenue Water Company based in Altadena. The company declined our request for an interview, but told us revenue from these charges directly supports fixed operational costs, maintenance, repairs, and system improvements, particularly in the wake of ongoing recovery efforts. This is not a new fee. With the loss of 58% of our customers, continuing to waive this charge is not sustainable. LAWC went on to say it is trying to secure state funds to help pay for repairs and hopes government money will allow it to again suspend the charges.
Shame on you.
Customers like Cynthia and Ricky are still livid.
And this is the kind of stuff that Spencer Pratt's talking about that's going to resonate with people. You know, it's the fact that there's still massive funding for the high-speed rail. There's still massive funding for, you know, fentanyl needles and crack pipes to get handed out. But, you know, they're going to charge people that lost their house in a fire that should have been prevented, and they're getting bills in the mail. It's just everything's upside down in California. It's also like the anarcho tyranny that takes place, where you see, you know, rampant theft. You see people openly doing drugs on the streets, like hardcore drugs, not smoking a joint, hardcore drugs, shooting up right on the street. And then the abuse of dogs, the insane things that happen in homeless encampment, like, you know, sexual assaults on women, the copper theft, catalytic converter theft, home break-ins, all of this stuff that's just rampant in California. Meanwhile, they're putting up all of these flock and speed cameras to just, you know, extract as much money from people that are going to work as possible, because that's the easy money. That's the easy crime to solve. They don't care about solving crime. They care about using law enforcement to extract as much money as they can to pay for all of these insane money laundering programs that they have going on. It's frustrating. And I mean, that's why Spencer Pratt actually could make a difference here. So this is kind of like what I'm talking about here. So LAPD is setting up drivers by having somebody walk across the street in unmarked crosswalks so they can give tickets to the people who don't stop. So, and they're bragging about it. LAPD is like bragging about this. Watch this.
Today, we conducted a pedestrian enforcement task force in Van Nuys division of LAPD. The purpose of today's task force was to promote education and enforcement along the Ventura Boulevard corridor. Recently, we've had a string of accidents that have resulted in fatal or severe injuries related to pedestrians. Anytime we do this type of enforcement, we tend to get a lot of negative attention. But what we want you to remember is that we're out here for a reason.
Yeah, to extract more money from people. Isn't this jaywalking? Like, isn't this guy actually the one that's committing a crime? So just to be perfectly transparent here, this guy is working for the LAPD. He might even be a cop. They're telling him, go across the street. We're going to have these motorcycle officers waiting, you know, for somebody to come near you, and we're going to go give him a ticket. That's what they're doing here.
Had numerous fatalities on the Ventura Boulevard corridor. A lot of them, in fact, pedestrian related.
You mean like a homeless, insane person running out in the middle of the street and flopping around and they get hit by a car, that kind of thing?
Majority of the drivers stopped today were either educated or cited for pedestrian related violations, failing to yield to pedestrians, right-of-way issues, or distracted driving.
Yeah, like, isn't this entrapment? Yours says you said entrapment wrong. Isn't that entrapment? And like, isn't that guy jaywalking technically? There's no crosswalk there. Like, it's so frustrating. Like, this is the little shit that I'm talking about. Meanwhile, there's like the 5th Street Bridge in LA. It's this brand new bridge that they built. It's got like these fancy arches and lights and shit, but they can't keep the lights on because the homeless people keep stealing the copper out of it. And now they're like charging property tax. They're trying to raise the property tax in order to pay for it. It's everything is so backwards in LA and all of California, actually. And I mean, just here's another. What up, Northside? Nice to see you. Wally World, nice to see you. Every episode I do is so triggering because I pull up a bunch of stories to talk about, and each one pisses me off. So this is part of the what they call it, Project Home Key, I believe, in California, and this was where the state would buy up dilapidated hotels, and they were supposed to give contractors a large sum of money, and they were supposed to refurbish these hotels, which meant putting in a kitchen because most of these hotel rooms don't have a kitchen. And that would be low-income housing. And that's how they're supposed to address the homeless crisis, even though the unaffordability of housing and the homeless crisis are two completely separate issues, but they try to conflate the two all the time. So here's just another example. You had the Shangri-La guy. You guys remember the Shangri-La? It was this contracting company that was tasked with buying a hotel and refurbishing it, and they received millions of dollars, sorry. And the CEO of the company started paying off his Amex bill. He bought a car. He went on some fancy vacation. He ended up getting arrested and charged thanks to Bill Asaley. But it's still going on. This is a Ramada Inn that was bought and sat vacant for 4 years. So again, it's just flushing millions of dollars down the drain when they do this stuff.
2x4s. An exclusive look at the Marina Del Rey multi-million-dollar homeless housing project, where for years neighbors say construction has been slow.
Where are the workers? Where is the urgency?
The city of LA bought the former Ramada Inn on Washington Boulevard in 2020 for $10.2 million. It was used as interim homeless housing before shutting down in 2022 to be converted into permanent supportive housing.
So during COVID, a bunch of hotels basically didn't have business anymore because nobody was traveling. They locked everybody down. So then the city of LA was like, well, this Ramada Inn, since you don't have any business anyway, how about we pay you per room and we'll just put homeless people in your hotel, which, they thrashed the hotel. And now that Ramada Inn no longer exists. So, the tax revenue that they created, it used to be like the Ramada Inn. It used to be, people would stay there. People would come to LA for business or vacation or whatever. They'd get a hotel room. The hotel would receive income and then they would pay taxes. And now it's the city giving this hotel, which is no longer a hotel. They're taking tax dollars to keep it afloat. They're just shoving homeless people in there. And then after COVID, when they lifted the lockdown orders, the Ramada Inn's like, well, we can't even stay in business anymore. So we'll just sell it back to the city for $10 million. And they're like, oh, Project Home Key. Let's remodel these hotels. We'll make it basically a homeless flop house. Well, 4 years later, nothing.
Since then, for almost 4 years, the property has sat unfinished.
Why does it take so long and such a waste of money? There's nothing to even show for it.
City documents reveal the nonprofit PATH took almost 2 years to get permits approved, and by then they needed even more money. The city added another $1.5 million in homeless housing funds, plus loans and grants, bringing the total price tag to around $20 million for just 32 units.
$10 million purchase that was gifted to PATH, without really any other approval from the neighbors.
Could certainly do with it, Ryan.
So 32 units. So it can house 32 people. And they said, what? So it's at least $20 million. When all is said and done, it's probably going to be around $30 million. So what? We're talking about $1 million per unit. So you're spending $1 million per homeless person here. And this is the shit Gavin Newsom brags about. Whenever he talks about addressing the homeless issue, he never talks about, well, we actually reduced our homeless population by this much or anything like that. He talks about how much money they've thrown at the problem. And this is what he brags about. It's insane. It's madness.
Here to have people living in there. There's a lot of craziness out here.
So right next to the building, we're seeing a pile of what looks like used toilet paper and then possibly a homeless encampment.
Keep hearing from our local electeds that we're in a crisis. Well, where's the urgency? We have 30 rooms here that should have remained open for the last 6 years.
City officials now admit the project exposed major flaws in the process. In a new report, the administrator urges to not authorize the demobilization of any Project Home Key sites until full funding has been secured. Expected completion now by the end of the year.
Last year, they said it was going to open in spring, and then in winter, they said it was going to open in summer. And if you take a look around, I bet you it won't be open next summer.
Back out here, Mike will show you construction still very much ongoing. City officials estimate the project should be done by the end of the year. Nearby residents not very optimistic. Reporting in Marina Del Rey, Matthew Seedorf, Fox 11 News.
And then when all is said and done, how much is this going to actually go towards solving the problem? What are the requirements for a homeless person to get a room there? That you're just going to shove a homeless person in the room? And I mean, if you talk to homeless and addiction advocates and ask them like, hey, is it a good idea to shove a drug addict in a room by themselves so they can just go do drugs by themselves? There's nobody around. It's the worst possible thing you could do, because if they OD, there's no one there to save them. at least if they're on the streets and they OD, there's somebody around that can give them Narcan or see that they've, that they're ODing, and they can call the paramedics. If they're alone in their room, like what this whole Project Home Key plan, it's not a plan. It's, again, another massive money laundering operation, if you ask me, because the people that get these contracts get a bunch of taxpayer dollars to put into the hotels. They skim off the top, pay themselves, and then they lobby politicians with that same money and put it back into their campaigns. It's the same shit every time. So, yeah, another thing going on in LA. If you guys have ever been to it's the same problem up here in the Bay Area. If you ever go to a Giants game and you come out after a Giants game, you have to walk through the maze of hot dog vendors that typically are illegal immigrants, and a lot of local restaurants complain because it's like, hey, we have to abide by all these health standards. We go through health inspections and stuff, and then and same thing with people with taco trucks and stuff like that, food trucks. They have to abide by all of the local policies in terms of health restrictions and getting inspections and stuff like that. Then you've got people that are here illegally that buy a cart, they don't get any inspections, and they show up outside of baseball games or sporting events or concerts or the late night flea market where people sell stolen goods on the streets, and they sell bacon wrapped hot dogs that have been sitting out in the sun all day. And so what's LA's solution for this? LA's solution is, Los Angeles County and the city of Los Angeles launched a $2.8 million program to provide sidewalk vendors with funding to get permits. They say these street vendors can't afford the fees for permits and equipment, so they're going to have American taxpayers pay for it. So let's listen to this clip, because this is their solution for everything. Are they going to have to abide by the same health regulations? That's my question.
For fruit cart vendor Brian Rodriguez, the sidewalk is his workplace.
Can I get one more?
He sells fresh fruit here in Monrovia 7 days a week.
Thank you so much.
He says getting started wasn't cheap.
The car, $1,700.
$1,700. That's
Well, he did it legit, so good for him. Kudos.
how much Rodriguez paid for this cart 4 years ago and struggled to recover the cost.
Oh, okay.
Steps away from where he sells fruit, Naisha Kamara is hoping to turn her dreams into a sidewalk business as well.
So these are the spaces where you'll be able to keep hot foods.
But she's getting help doing it without that hefty price tag she knows all too well.
Just the small carts range up to from $2,000 to $5,000.
LA County and the city of LA are rolling out a new program that will give out nearly 300 health code compliant, fully equipped food carts to eligible sidewalk vendors like Kamara free of charge.
I would cater events and I would, do pop-ups, but it's never been able to be consistent due to the fact of, you get a brick and mortar and it's too much money.
So look, I love food vendors personally. I think I love taco trucks. I love the off the grid events where a bunch of different food trucks show up. Love that stuff. It's fantastic. But my problem is you've got people in the Palisades that their house burned down and they're getting bills in the mail for $37 on a property they can't use for water. Meanwhile, there's permit costs that food vendors are supposed to pay, and the city is going to take taxpayer dollars and pay for them. It's backwards. Again, I have no problem with food vendors, but if they don't have to abide by the same rules that restaurants and legitimate food vendors do, then get rid of all the standards, get rid of all of it. And nobody has to pay anything. It's such a misallocation of resources. And then again, I love food trucks. I wish somebody would open a Sloppy Joe food truck personally. Sloppy Joe's, Texas toast, Sloppy Joe's with bacon, all that kind of stuff would be fantastic.
You're a free cart, that knocks the hurdles out the way. So now you can kind of focus on your business and
That looks delicious.
cooking and doing what you love.
She's hoping to land one of the grill models to sell her Caribbean food.
Jerk chicken tacos with curry sauce.
The program
I'm down with
launched after
it.
the county sidewalk vending ordinance took effect in 2024, creating a legal path for vendors, but also adding new costs and requirements many couldn't afford.
Getting access to a
a cart at no cost to a vendor can be a big deal in getting that final permit.
Kamara can't wait to get started.
Yes, once I get the card, I think I'm gonna be out there the same night.
And for vendors like Rodriguez, who knows how hard it is to get started, he hopes it opens the door for others chasing the same dream.
Es bueno para ayudar a la gente, a los vendedores.
Look, too, you have to have a commissary kitchen if you're cooking food ahead of time. Where is she cooking that chicken? Well, is it LA that they made it so you can now sell food out of your house? I believe that was LA as well. And there's people that are advertising on Facebook, and people are coming to other people's houses and they're just using their house as a kitchen. And I'm a libertarian, so like overregulation, just annoys me. It's just the fact that some people, it's like there's two separate standards for restaurants, food trucks, and then I'm not saying these people that they just showed here are here illegally, but it seems like if you're here illegally, you don't have to follow the laws that everybody else has to follow. And it's just frustrating. It's frustrating to me. So meanwhile, up in San Francisco, it's like the exact opposite situation. So this is from Wall Street Apes. He says, San Francisco's latest law could put food vendors out of business. Data team found that 88 inspections of the 88 inspections of mobile food vendors in 2025, there were 60 health violations. The new requirement means that street vendors must have a built-in hand washing station, no more home cooking. Vendors must rent time and space in approved kitchens for prep work, like you said there, Bluka2. Carts must meet state and local health codes for sanitation, meaning they must proper sinks. That's a typo. Must have proper sinks, temperature controls, overhead protection, and access to restrooms. Well, I mean that seems like it's taking it too far. Like access to restrooms. What is this to do? Walk around with a porta-john? Like, okay. One Spanish street vendor interviewed said he's been operating for 14 years without any of these requirements. All right, let's watch this here.
San Francisco's latest law could put food vendors out of business.
How long have you been selling out here? ¿Hace cuánto estás vendiendo aquí?
5 años.
5 years.
Ajá.
¿Estás preocupada? Are you worried?
Bastante preocupada.
Very worried.
Several feet away from Lourdes Villegas' stand is Gabriela Carvajal, also selling tamales. This is how she raised her children. She has been a food vendor for 14 years.
Hey, anybody that's on a job site knows even if she's here illegally, we love the tamale lady that comes up and sells tamales and flautas out of her trunk. I mean, they're always good. They always taste delicious. But they don't have to go by any of the other regulations that, restaurant owners or other food truck owners do. So it's not exactly a fair situation, but those tamales are delicious.
We just want to be able to work.
San Francisco Board of Supervisors approved a new law that requires vendors to change their setup to meet new health and safety requirements.
The new law requires street vendors to have a cart with a hand washing station instead of tables. But many street vendors tell us that's too expensive. It can cost anywhere between $10,000 to $12,000.
I mean, even a hand washing station. So the hand washing station and the bathroom thing, that seems like overregulation because it's like, if somebody has dirty hands, that's not on you. As long as your food is clean. If they want to, pick their butt and go eat a sandwich, that's on them. Why hand washing stations? Like, I can't think of any food vendors, like legitimate food vendors that you see out on the Embarcadero in San Francisco. I think it's every Tuesday. You have all these different food trucks out there, and it's awesome. It's amazing. Like food trucks themselves. Anybody that's on a job site or gone to an off the grid night? I mean, what, the hand washing stations? Like, I mean, yeah, it'd be nice and convenient, but that seems like overregulation to me.
So many of them have their own setup like this one.
Food vendors won't be allowed to cook at home anymore. Leila Ovando, a professional chef and director of food access and equity at the nonprofit Nuestra Causa, is helping this community that knows the new cost will force many off the streets, even though many have food handling certificates.
They will have to spend 2 to 3 hours prep, and we're talking about $30 to $100 an hour just for those kitchens.
Bluka2, you have a restaurant background. So the hand washing thing should be provided by the vendors only. So do you mean like the people that are renting the space for them to do it? I would agree. That seems legit.
So that already is eating up profit when you're talking about folks that make about $2,000 total net in a month.
Our data team found out of 88 inspections of mobile food vendors in 2025, there were 60 health violations per 311 data. In this document, San Francisco's Department of Public Health said it's making the changes to bring San Francisco's local codes into alignment with state-level changes. Nuestra Causa, which represents 75 food vendors in the Mission District, is hoping city supervisors find a way to help vendors purchase the required carts.
We don't have blueprints yet on exactly what that's going to look like yet.
The second reading of this ordinance is set for April 7th.
Well, Archangel, this is only the city of San Francisco that's doing this. The city of LA seems to be doing the exact opposite. So this isn't a statewide policy. And I mean, you got to ask, maybe they're over-regulating in hopes that they're going to get rid of a bunch of street vendors. That's kind of what I think. And Bluca too, if maybe they want to have the street vendors regulated to a certain area, like the spot I talked about on the Embarcadero, that's kind of near the Giant Stadium, and where they have like actual designated food vendor areas, off the grid nights, where it's only certain times a day, that kind of thing. I mean, again, I love a lot of these food vendors. There's one place on the Embarcadero that sells like spicy chicken sandwiches. They're freaking delicious. I love that kind of stuff, but I also don't like I don't like a two-tiered system where some people have to go by the local regulations and some people don't. So let's see. Archangel, though, LA. So, the food vendors have to pay for permits. Well, LA is saying people can't afford permits. So we're going to take taxpayer dollars and actually pay the permits for them. Meanwhile, people that lost their houses in LA due to the fires are getting bills in the mail for water that don't even have a house there anymore. So it's just this anarcho-tyranny crap that's going on. So, all right, this is a story that is going to piss everybody off. It pisses me off. I covered this a couple of years ago when it happened. So I probably will end up showing the video. Hopefully I won't get in trouble for it on YouTube. But there was a man walking down the street in is that the Marina District? It's kind of close to like Ocean Beach. It's up the hill farther from Ocean Beach. Just old Asian guy walking down the street, and some dude comes out of nowhere, runs up to him as fast as he can, and like shoulder checks him. Guy falls to the ground and dies. Straight got murdered in broad daylight. And, the guy got arrested and stuff, but this just broke earlier this week. So a San Francisco Superior Court judge, Linda Colfax, has suspended the already 8-year sentence of Antoine Watson, a black man who killed an 84-year-old man in an unprovoked 2021 attack, citing his traumatic childhood as justification for her ruling. So she suspended his sentence. So does that mean the dude is just free to go? Like, this is insane. It's only a 9-second clip. So this is it right here. So you guys freeze frame right there. So I'll play it again. Knocked him to the ground. That guy died, folks. So hopefully I don't get in trouble on YouTube because I don't know if I'm supposed to show that stuff, but yeah. So it was a 19-year-old dude, and he got sentenced to 8 years, and I guess his sentence was just commuted or suspended, whatever that means. Does that mean the guy is just free to walk around now? Let's watch this.
Disappointed.
This is from ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
Everyone disappointed, and in our community, it's very heartbroken.
Heartbreak and deep disappointment. Loved ones say nothing will bring back Visha Ratanapakdi, and they say the sentence a judge gave Antoine Watson for killing Grandpa Visha does not bring about justice.
He's on probation for killing our father-in-law, and it's unacceptable, and I think everyone knows it.
A judge sentenced Watson a total of 8 years in state prison. Watson will get credit for good behavior and time served for his 5 years in county jail. Instead of going to state prison, the judge ordered Watson to be released on probation.
On an 8-year sentence, she made the choice to suspend the remainder of time that he would have had to serve, because this is not what we wanted. This is not what we believe was justice. We do recognize his age at the time of this crime, but we also recognize the heinousness of what he did to an elderly man.
Watson was 19.
So that was Brooke Jenkins, the district attorney in San Francisco. She doesn't seem to agree with this judge's decision. He served 5 years of his 8-year sentence, and now he's out on probation. This is murder. I mean, he may not have been intending to kill him. So what is that? Murder in the 3rd degree? But I mean, you're saying because he had a traumatic childhood? We all had a traumatic childhood. We grew up in California.
19 at the time, and testified he did not notice Grandpa Visha's age or race, but was angry after a bad day. Many people believe the attack was because Grandpa Visha was Asian, but the case was not charged as a hate crime.
My father was 84 years old, was killed on the street. No one should be harmed with the reason because of a bad day. And
the deputy public defender says Watson's suspended 8-year prison sentence is appropriate. She also says it emphasizes rehabilitation.
I think that
how is probation rehabilitation? And I got to ask, this liberal white judge, does the race of the perpetrator come into play on this? Did the color of his skin have anything to do with him getting a suspended sentence? Is that racist to ask? If a white man would have done the exact same thing, would he have gotten 8 years and then after serving 5 years been released on probation? In this crazy world of equity, you got to ask, did that play any role in this?
result today is a reflection of evidence-based, science-backed understanding of how we truly hold people accountable in a way that leads to real public safety.
The terms and conditions for Watson's probation include close supervision and monitoring. Watson has to live with his mother in Hayward, go to weekly therapy sessions, and stay away from the neighborhood where the Visha family lives. Live in the newsroom, Suzanne Fawn, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
So that's his rehabilitation, guys. He has to go to therapy. How many times have we seen violent criminals in California get released and then go on to commit an even more violent crime? I don't know. I would not be surprised if a year or two from now, I am reporting on how this guy just murdered somebody for doing something else. I would not be surprised if that happened. So this is extremely frustrating. First of all, I got an 8-year sentence. I think you should have got like a 20, 25-year sentence. But no, 8 years, served 5 years. Now he's on probation, hanging out in Hayward where I work. And he's got to go to therapy. So there, it's problem solved, guys. He's got to go talk to some liberal psychologist every day, and everything will be fine, I'm sure, right? The state knows better. Archangel, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, if you guys are watching, give the show a like, repost it, subscribe to my channel on YouTube. It'd be very appreciated. All right. Okay, let's go on to some other news, some other California news here. So the gubernatorial race, it's just a fun word to say. Gubernatorial, I love that word. I don't know why. It's just fun to say. The governor race coming up is getting interesting. So right now, I'm using a Brave browser here. So Steve Hilton and Chad Bianco are still leading. It's quite interesting. I still think there's a very, very small chance that we'll have two Republicans move on past the primary. As I explain all the time, California has what's called a jungle primary system. That means the top two vote getters in the primary move on. Everybody else goes home. And that's who you get in the general election. You don't get a Democrat and a Republican. That's not how it works. You could get two Democrats. You can get two Republicans. You can get one Republican, one Democrat. But as busy as the Democrat field is, they are splitting that vote very thinly. And it's kind of biting them in the ass because right now, averaging all the polls together, Steve Hilton is polling at 15.5%, slightly ahead of Chad Bianco, polling at 14.1%. And then you've got Eric Swallowswell averaging 13.7%. Then behind him, is Katie Porterhouse at 11.3%. And then you've got the super rich billionaire Tom Steyer polling at 10.4%. So if Katie Porterhouse and Tom Steyer dropped out of the race, I mean, you're talking about freaking 21% right there that would automatically go to Eric Swallowswell. So it's kind of shocking that the Democrats are doing this and they're just being too stubborn to drop out of the race. But as it is right now, you've got Steve Hilton and Chad Bianco leading the way. I still think that one of them should drop out. I personally would prefer to see Chad Bianco drop out because, as you know, I am not a fan of Chad Bianco. And no, it's not even the BLM knee thing that makes me not a fan, though that contributes. It's how he tried to railroad an independent journalist and make him look like the third would-be Trump assassin at that Coachella concert. I believe it was the last Trump rally that Trump did. I interviewed him. His name's Vem Miller, and Chad Bianco tried to destroy his life. So I am not a fan of Chad Bianco at all. And I would like to see him drop out of the race. And then, Steve Hilton would be pulling it close to 30%. So if Chad Bianco dropped out, you are almost certain to have a Democrat and Steve Hilton moving on. And if it's Steve Hilton versus Eric Swalwell, I can actually see Steve Hilton winning because Eric Swalwell is essentially, he has the exact same policies as Gavin Newsom, but he's not nearly as charismatic. He's uglier, and he's also stupid as shit. He's the dumbest freaking guy on earth. Just listen to the guy talk, and he looks like a raging alcoholic, if you ask me. But yeah, I see the reason I also think Steve Hilton is a better candidate is because he's going to draw the independents, the moderates, and even some moderate Democrats will vote for him because there's tons of Democrats that are sick of Democrat policies in California. And Steve Hilton is a much more palatable candidate than Chad Bianco. I mean, I'm talking about amongst independents and, disaffected liberals and moderate liberals and that kind of thing. So interesting. All right, let's keep going here. So this is from Wall Street Apes. He says, new poll shows 2 Republican candidates are still leading in California governor's race. There's now Democrats facing the very real possibility of a historic upset in California as new poll finds 2 Republican candidates leading the California gubernatorial primary. I still don't think we're going to see 2 Republicans get past the primary. I think there's a very, very small chance of that happening. All right, let's watch this quick clip here. This is from Wall Street Apes. Make this full screen. All right, this is from Fox and Friends.
There's now Democrats facing the very real possibility of an historic upset in California as a new poll finds 2 Republican candidates leading in California's gubernatorial primary. Our next guest is at the top of that poll, says there's a revolution brewing in California. California gubernatorial candidate Steve Hilton joins me now. Steve, great to see you as always. You are our former.
If you guys haven't listened to my interview with Steve Hilton, please go back and check it out at some point. I'll put it in the show description down below after I finish the stream. But it was an awesome interview. I talked to him for an hour, and I would also listen to my Vem Miller interview that I did the following day. It's a good conversation. I recommend going and listening to it. I like Steve Hilton a lot.
Former colleague, so obviously we really like you, but how the heck are you, a conservative, leading the polls in such a liberal state like California?
Well, the answer to that question is a very simple 4-letter word. It's called MAGA, and it stands not for Make America Great Again, like the president would say, but the guy who's obviously on a presidential campaign right now across the country, Gavin Newsom. MAGA stands for Most Useless Governor in America. And that's Gavin Newsom, because California has the worst results of any state in America. We have the highest poverty rate, the highest unemployment rate, the highest cost of living, highest gas prices, highest cost for everything, insurance, housing, water, rent, you name it, car registration, everything costs a fortune. You've got crime, you've got homelessness, the wildfire disaster, everything's a disaster. And so people are saying, we've had enough. We've had enough of this. We need change in California. And I've been traveling the state, putting out a strong, positive alternative. $3 gas, cut your electric bills in half, your first $100,000 tax-free, no more free healthcare for illegal immigrants, a home you can afford to buy.
He's also talking about cutting car registration costs. I just had to pay for my car registration. I drive a 1990 Mercedes, and my car registration is still $250. That's insane. He's talking about capping car registration at like $70. There's people out there that have new trucks, new cars. They're paying close to $1,000 every year just to register their car so they can drive on the streets where they still got to pay, commuter lane tax, the fast track tax, or to drive in the left lane, and the roads are still shit, and gas prices now are up to almost $7 a gallon in California. It's insane. They gouge us at every chance they get. And I think this is like the message that's resonating with people that Steve Hilton is talking about. There's a lot of Californians, Democrats as well, that are like, I spend so much money. I'm talking about the, I hate using the term normie because we're all normies in comparison to somebody, but the non-political people that just are default Democrats, they're registered as Democrats, but they're not radical progressives or anything. They're just trying to go to work and, live their daily lives. And, they think typical liberal stuff, but they're not really paying attention. The thing they are paying attention to is how much they're paying at the gas pump, how much their electricity bills are, how much homelessness there is, how no problems seem to be getting corrected, but prices keep going up and up and up. And then you hear Gavin Newsom bragging about how much more money he's throwing at a problem that never gets solved. People are like, well, something's not adding up here. And then Steve Hilton's coming out and saying like, no, we need to cut spending. We need to actually address these issues. Here's how I'm specifically going to address these issues. And it's resonating with people. So, Steve Hilton is the best governor candidate we've had in, at least 15 years. When Gavin Newsom first got elected, it was, I can't even remember his name right now. He's a state senator. I like the guy, but he's just very milquetoast. He doesn't have anything that makes him stand out. And he wasn't very charismatic at all. But and he still pulled he still got like 34% of the vote. Steve Hilton's going to make it close. If Steve Hilton loses, I still see him pulling at least 40 to 45% of the vote. I think Steve Hilton could win this thing if he moves on. That's personally what I think here. And to give an example of this is just a clip that I just have to play. It's only 19 seconds long. It was Nick Shirley's been here in California. You guys all know Nick Shirley. He exposed the daycare center fraud out there in Minnesota. He's been out here in California, not exposing fraud. He's just been pointing out things that other journalists have been pointing out for years, like people with the California Globe. Anyway, he just goes up to a random guy on the street and asks him if you would vote for Gavin Newsom for president in 2028. And his answer is astonishing. And his reason is astonishing.
Would you guys vote for Gavin Newsom in 2028?
I vote for him because he got me released from coming home from a life sentence.
Oh, so you'd vote for Gavin Newsom because you were serving a life sentence and he released you. Tell me more.
Really?
Yeah. Wow.
Yep. So he didn't hold me back. He didn't hold me back. He signed off saying I'm fit for society. So yes, I would vote for Gavin Newsom.
You fit for society. Well, what a nice thing Gavin Newsom did. By the way, what were you locked up for?
You locked up for? If you don't mind me asking.
I was locked up for murder, carjacking, and robbery.
Would you guys vote?
Oh, well, that's okay. You were locked up for murder, carjacking, and robbery. And Gavin Newsom released you, and that's why you'd vote for him. Okay. All right. I think enough said on that one. Freaking madness. How is this guy walking around on the street? But okay. So that's Gavin Newsom's base right there. Okay, well, as much as I dislike Chad Bianco, he is doing something very interesting out in Riverside. Him and Rob Bonta are going to war because there was some voter ballot discrepancies. Like I talked about last episode, everybody gets mailed a ballot in the mail ever since COVID, coinciding with, Gavin Newsom's recall. In 2020, California decided to make it law that every registered voter is going to get mailed a ballot. And no, that is not how it was before. These are universal mail-in ballots. These are not absentee ballots. Everybody gets mailed a ballot and they can just mail it back in. They got to sign their signature on the envelope. It's got to match, whatever. Well, the problem is How many people are still registered to vote in California that no longer live here or passed away? Lots, millions, but they still get mailed a ballot. Well, if you had a system that could, track down like, oh, we know this person no longer lives here, but they're still on the voter rolls. Let's stash that ballot aside. Let's just put it aside and maybe we'll fill it out later and turn it in. Well, Chad Bianco came hip to this and he's like, nope, you know what? I'm doing a criminal investigation into this. And he confiscated 45,000 ballots. So this is interesting here. So let's listen to Chad Bianco talk about this.
Hello, California. Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco and your next governor. Well. The political corruption in California just gets bigger and bigger. Our embarrassment to law enforcement, Attorney General Rob Bonta, just filed an emergency writ with the Court of Appeals to stop ballots from being counted in Riverside County. For those not aware, we are conducting an investigation into an alleged and potential 45,000 extra votes counted than the number of ballots cast in the November 2025 special election. So we are all clear. This isn't about counting yes and no votes. This is simply...
So this is referring specifically to Prop 50 that passed, and that was the proposition that allowed them to redistrict congressional districts in California, giving way more seats to California Democrats.
Counting the total ballots and comparing that total with the number of votes reported by the Dominion machines. Plain and simple, common sense. Not only did a Superior Court judge approve a warrant to obtain the ballots, but also issued a separate order to count them. Why in the world would Rob Bonta want that count stopped unless he was afraid of what that count would uncover? We have an extremely politically biased appeals court, so this is going to be interesting. What's it going to be? Let law enforcement count the ballots as part of a lawful investigation, or halt the investigation and sweep it under the rug? All California voters should be demanding transparency, not legal maneuvers and cover-ups. Stay tuned.
So Rob Bonta is trying to shut this down. And that's funny that Chad Bianco uses CapCut. So Chad Bianco, Rob Bonta is trying to shut this down. And I wonder why. I wonder why Rob Bonta would be trying to shut down an investigation into extra ballots cast in the 2025 special election for Prop 50. So this is from, who's the guy that made this video? I'm not sure the name of this guy, but this is posted by MAGA X Times Daily News. So this guy says, Riverside County, California, Sheriff Chad Bianco seized 650,000 ballots. I don't think that's correct. I mean, he just said 45,000, but okay. Those that are in question are physical ballots and related materials from, maybe he seized all the ballots, and then he's trying to see where the extra ballots came from. From California's November 2025 special election on Proposition 50, this was a statewide ballot measure concerning congressional redistricting, a temporary plan to redraw districts in response to partisan gerrymandering in other states. Right. So remember, like I did a whole episode on Prop 50 and explained it. They did gerrymandering to combat gerrymandering, and they said it's temporary. It's not going to be temporary. There's no freaking way. In this ballot initiative is found to be corrupt. If this ballot initiative is found to be corrupt, it could have huge implications for future elections. All right. So why Sheriff let's just watch the video, because there's typos all over this post.
California Attorney General crushed in his panicked attempt to get a court of appeals to stop the count of the votes that were seized by Sheriff Chad Bianco. 650,000 ballots now in his possession. A special master has been appointed, and Rob Bonta over here does not want the investigation to proceed. And so yesterday, he filed an emergency petition to try to stop everything from happening. And now he has lost, and he lost very quickly. Cal Matters gives us some more background on this. You can see this is Chad Bianco. He's running for governor out there. And
so it's actually shocking that Rob Bonta lost, because California judges are insane, and you can never get a fair trial in California if you're going up against the state.
And they say a California court on Tuesday quickly denied Rob Bonta's panicked request to halt the sheriff and his efforts to recount the ballots back from 2025. In an unprecedented move, Chad Bianco, a Republican who is running for governor, sees 650,000 ballots and is conducting a recount of the vote. Now, Bonta's office earlier ordered Chad Bianco and the Riverside sheriffs to pause its work, saying, "We have grave concerns. You can't investigate this in a criminal investigation." And I'm really enjoying and appreciating how the criminal investigations are advancing these arguments. Remember how many, if you've been here a while, civil lawsuits we've covered? You have the third parties or even state lawsuits that are civil in nature. They sue, the judges just say, well, you know, it's sort of 50-50, we'll kind of dismiss it. And you have really no shot at it. Whether it's standing or mootness or latches or whatever justiciability argument that is made, lawsuits are all getting dismissed. When you have a criminal prosecution, when in Fulton County, the FBI gets a search warrant and goes and picks up the ballots, when here the sheriff goes and gets warrants and picks up the ballots, in Arizona, when the FBI goes and gets valid subpoenas and then gobbles up data from the Senate president, it's a whole different set of tools. A whole new game is now before us because crimes are different than just civil claims. The state Justice Department instructed, this is the Rob Bonta Attorney General, to share any information that could substantiate its concerns. But those orders went unheeded, according to Rob Bonta. Bonta filed in the 4th District Court of Appeal. He asked the judge to intervene. He said, "This is an abuse of the criminal process." The question, of course, is why didn't he start the criminal process? He's the
right. So, I mean, like, really think about it. If there's 45,000 extra votes that were cast, and there's only this many ballots that were cast, so 45,000 additional ballots, where did they come from? If they just appeared and these ballots were actually cast fraudulently, that's a crime. That is an actual crime with actual criminal penalties. But Rob Bonta is like, oh, you can't be doing this. This is just so beyond the pale. This is the California Attorney General that is the one supposed to be investigating this. And a sheriff is taking it upon himself to say, you know, we're going to look into this and there might be criminal charges. And Rob Bonta is trying to fight it. Seems a little weird, doesn't it? The #1 law enforcement officer in the state of California is mad that a sheriff is doing his job.
State AG, he could have easily said, whoa, that looks like a pretty valid complaint. If the argument is that there's 45,000 additional votes that were added into the final count, that's a problem, Rob. How come you didn't go look at it? A 3-judge panel struck down Bonta's request, womp womp, writing that he should have filed this complaint with Riverside. Bonta's office said, oops, we're evaluating the next steps to ensure a swift and appropriate resolution. Yeah, okay. You just goofed, you idiots. The sheriff has not identified any particular crime, they argue. Now they say the Riverside sheriff doesn't know how to count, and they're not legally authorized to play the role of elections monitor. They're not playing the role of election monitor. They're investigating a crime. Apparently there's some fraud going on. What happened to 45,000 votes? Where the hell did those come from? By all appearances, this investigation is a fishing expedition meant to sow distrust and undermine public confidence. No, guys, it's the 45,000 additional votes that are undermining public confidence in our election. Now, Bonta doesn't like what Chad is saying. The sheriff got 2 warrants in February, so another judge signed off on it, and got another one last week. And Bianco's doing a great job on this, by the way, because he got the 2 search warrants. Then the AG said, stop what you're doing. He said, okay, I'll stop with these 2 warrants. Then went and got a 3rd warrant and proceeded under that, saying that all of this came from Riverside County Citizens Group. Now, Bonta has said the sheriff's department, his office, the matter he reviewed did not have enough probable cause to actually go conduct these seizures. Now, none of the sworn statements or the evidence that Bianco presented can be judged by the public. They're all under seal. All of them under seal. The warrants were approved by Judge J.
So shit's getting interesting. If Chad Bianco is actually successful in this, I mean, it won't change any of the universal mail-in ballots policy. Everybody gets mailed a ballot. Ballot harvesting will still be illegal. You still won't have to provide ID when you vote. You'll still have 30 days after the election's over for them to count the votes. That'll all still take place. But if he's successful in actually charging people with criminal charges for voter fraud, well, I mean, people might be less willing to commit voter fraud in the future. So this could impact the actual upcoming gubernatorial election, because if people are like, hell no, I ain't doing this fraudulent ballot shit. Look at other people are getting charged. They might go to jail. I'm doing this one by the book. So this could have serious impacts, even though it won't change any of the actual voting policies in California. It could have some serious impacts. So Stay tuned. Let's see how this one goes. All right, this story is going to make your skin crawl because, again, there's so many things that go on in California that people across the country and many people in California aren't even aware of. And one of them is the fact that if you go to jail for a violent crime and then say, "Oh, I'm a woman now. I'm just in the wrong body," even if it was a sexual assault crime, they'll put you in a women's jail. How insane is that? That's a real thing. I can't remember the proposition that passed, but I'm pretty sure Scott Wiener was attached to it somehow. Well, yeah, that's the thing. If you're a dude that committed a horrific crime and then you get locked up and you're like, "I'm a woman now. I'm just in the wrong body," they'll put you in a women's prison. So this guy here, Jason Michael Hann, known as the Tupperware baby killer, killed 2 babies. He smashed one baby's head, wrapped her in duct tape, and shoved her in Tupperware. He's now considered a female by California and housed with women after 10 years on death row. Yeah, this is really happening, you guys. Insane.
When you're on death row, anytime first of all, you're housed totally in your own cell. And anytime you're out of that cell, you're handcuffed and there's a guard next to you, sometimes 2 guards. So you're handcuffed, you're chained, your legs are chained. You do get some limited time outdoors, but it's outdoors by yourself in a chain linked. It looks sort of like I've seen the death row at San Quentin. It looks sort of like a dog kennel. So you're basically in this outdoor quote space for an hour or 2 a day, and then you're chained up, and then walked back to your cell. So you spend most of the time in your cell. You don't have a lot of social interaction. Even if these people have done horrific things, death row is I believe it's impossible to be on death row for more than a couple years and not go psychotic because of the lack of interaction with people and the lack of socialization, the lack of.
This dude crushed a baby's skull and put it in Tupperware. I think it's safe to say he's already psychotic.
Being outdoors, the lack of moving around. So when you take someone who's been on death row for 10 years, they have gone psychotic because they have been alone in a cell for 10 years. And you try to integrate them into the general population of a level 2 prison, and on top of that, a women's prison. It's so abusive to those women. 85% or over of those women have been sexually traumatized by men. So now you're taking a psychotic baby killer who's been in a cell by himself for 10 years and put him in a very loose kind of medium security setting with a bunch of females.
It's freaking bonkers. I mean, it's just insane. And then, I mean, couple that with the whole elder parole law that they have, where even if you get a life sentence, if you serve, 20 years of that life sentence, you can be released at age 50. So if you get convicted at age 30 of murdering a bunch of people, and you get a life sentence, you turn 50 years old, a parole board can grant you parole. And I mean, I've covered that. I talked with Yolo County District Attorney Jeff Reisick. I recommend you guys go watch that episode as well. And he illustrates how absolutely bonkers that law is. You couple that with a serial killer can say, "I'm a woman now," a guy that's been on death row in solitary confinement, and they're just going to put him in a level 2 security general population women's prison. It's freaking bonkers. It's freaking bonkers. And this is California. This is our California justice system. DM 00097, Bonta's a criminal. He belongs in jail. Hey, I'm with you. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a Bonta fan at all. Listen to my interview with Vem Miller. I am not a Bonta fan at all. But doesn't mean he's not doing something that's going to be beneficial to all Californians. So, I'm with it. I'm with it. Doing the ballot thing. I'm not going to complain about that. I mean, it helps. I mean, shit, it helps his opponent, Steve Hilton, even. So, yeah, we'll keep going here. got a couple more stories that I want to get through here. So yeah, there's apparently California is effectively bankrupt, and this is from Molly O'Shea. She says, what's his name? David Friedberg says California is functionally bankrupt. So let's go to this story really quick here. See why. Why is California effectively bankrupt? Because it seems like they keep just increasing their budget every single year. How are they bankrupt?
David Friedberg, what is your hot take for Hill and Valley?
What have you heard from others? We've heard
everything from Anthropic to Iran to IPOs.
On that note, Anthropic and Palantir just partnered. Did you guys hear about that? Yeah. Anthropic, the rocket company, partnered with Palantir, the Minority Report company. Okay. I wonder if they're building Cyberdyne Technologies and they're going to release the T1.
I feel like a hot take should be the thing that no one else is talking about.
Okay.
So I think for me, it would be California is functionally bankrupt. People don't realize how screwed California is. And I worry that if California falls, so does the union. This is because for California to get rescued would be a big cost to red states. And I think it creates in the years ahead, a lot of tension. So California has a public pension system. And that public pension system, retirees have paid into it and they get some benefits out. And the amount that they're owed back out is somewhere between $250 billion and $1 trillion more than has been paid in. $50 billion to $1 trillion short. If it was the federal government, it would be like, okay, we'll just print more money. California doesn't have the ability to print money. So California has to pay this out. And you can't restructure retirement benefits. There was a Supreme Court case in California that said that once an employee has been offered retirement benefits, even if they're currently an employee, you can never restructure their retirement benefits. It has to stay forever. And the state cannot declare bankruptcy. There's no way for the state to functionally declare bankruptcy. There's no law to allow it. No state has ever declared bankruptcy. And the retirement benefits sit senior to the bonds in California. So you have to pay out the retirement benefits before you pay out all the bondholders that have loaned California the money that they use to run all their programs and services. So that's why California is facing a massive fiscal cliff in the years ahead. And I think it is so profound that it really does risk the ruin of the state, because it's the only way out of it is you're going to have to bail out the state. And that would be this huge kind of problem, because then all the red states would say, we're not paying for the bailout, and it would cause a lot of conflict in America. So I don't think people realize how big of a problem this is and what it's going to drive in the years ahead. So that's my hot take. That's why I'm really worried about California. I'm really worried about the governor race, the assembly, and this isn't about taxes and billionaire tax act, because I don't think you can actually tax your way out of this problem. People will just leave the state.
Yeah.
So that's my big hot take. I'm worried about California. I think we all should be, and we should be focused on actually talking about this problem, not talking about all the bullshit that all the politicians are talking about and all the nonsense and everything from homelessness to whatever. California's functional bankruptcy is a major risk to the country. And I think we need to figure out what we can change to fix it.
So it's the pension thing. So you guys are obviously listening, but it sounds to me that the amount of retirees, the amount of money that they're owed, we physically don't have that money. It wasn't paid into the system. And this is going to all come to a crashing halt in the years to come. And the money is just not there. And like he said, like which I talk about all the time, is California doesn't have a Federal Reserve. We don't have a money printer. We can't just create this money out of thin air. So where does it come from? This sounds like a massive problem.
Working with Nick Shirley on this?
I'm not working with Nick Shirley on this. Nick Shirley, I think, does a great job exposing how so much of that money is wasted. I asked this question of Matt Mahan, who's running for governor. I was like, dude, where'd the $14 billion go that went into that high-speed rail project? There was like it's a high-speed rail, but there's no rail. Yeah. There's nothing. $14 billion. I'm like, whose pocket is that money in? Right. Everyone should ask that question of your government, of your elected officials, of your politicians, of your leaders. Where the hell did the money go? And in many cases, you'll find that it just went to create wealth for a few people that are cronies or thieves or that stole it, or it was used to create fake jobs that aren't productive, meaning no one's making anything. They're just taking money and living off of that money from the government. And both of those are not what was promised. When people pay taxes and the government says it's going to do a service, we need to hold the government accountable to do the service. And that just doesn't happen. So I think Nick Shirley holds the government accountable. I think there are dozens of copycats, which I friggin' love. You go out and show the crazy shit that's going on and ask the tough questions, run the audits, Treasury in the federal government should be running the audits and figuring out where'd all the money go. Whose pocket is it in today? You can follow dollars. Where did they go? Who has all that money? Who has the nice home? Who has the Bentley? Who has the lakefront home? Like, where did all the money go? And I think we're going to be really shocked and surprised if we actually keep going with this narrative. And that's what everyone, this is not political. This is not Dem versus Republican. This is just straight up like how government should be run in a democracy. Hold it accountable, ask the questions, and be comfortable asking those questions. So
I don't think Californians are aware of, I know Californians aren't aware of how insane it is with the high-speed rail, the homelessness industrial complex, that it's not incompetence, it's fraud and money laundering. I talk about it all the time. It's this circular thing where, you know, unions and NGOs get taxpayer dollars, they skim off the top and then put some into their pockets, some back into politicians' pockets, and allegedly, and then they fund politicians' campaigns that are just going to perpetuate this cycle. It's this, and nothing ever gets done. Nothing ever gets built. No problems ever get corrected, but millions and billions of dollars just disappear. And it's not money that was printed by the Federal Reserve. This is actual California taxpayer dollars that are just disappearing. Meanwhile, the middle class is disappearing. Everybody's moving out of here. The actual tax base is leaving. It's so self-destructive. And it's like this circle of life that we can't get out of. And I don't know how to correct the issue except talk about it.
I think that's something we should all be embracing. And anyone who fights back against it is simply un-American. And I think it's a real question, because they're probably the ones that are in some way participating, benefiting, or getting elected because of the fraud, because of the waste. And everyone should be asking this question, both sides of the aisle. And by the way, if the Democrats want to win and crush it in the midterms and become president in 28 and take over the country, if they ask this question and they found answers and they proposed solutions, I think they have a run, and they should be embracing it as much as the Republicans are. It's not political.
Wow.
Yeah.
2 great hot takes from David Friedberg. Have you thought about doing this for a living?
Answering hot takes? Hot takes? I could do hot take clips all day. Okay. Great. Yeah. We'll come back. We'll try another one in a few minutes. Thank you.
I like this guy. All right. Let's keep going here. Actually, you know what? I think you know what? That's where I'm going to cut it. I'm already over time. I only wanted to do an hour tonight. So that's where I'm going to cut it. I was going to talk about Iran, but I don't have time. So we're going to get into that on Wednesday. I'm going to do no California topics on Wednesday. We're only going to talk about Iran, and hopefully we'll know more by then. I mean, troops are being deployed now, you guys. It's getting spicy, and I don't like it. So, you know, Archangel, you say I'm based now, but I don't know. I don't know if you're going to like my hot takes on Iran, because I am, you're going to hear me freaking criticizing, you're going to hear me criticizing Trump on Wednesday. So see if you still think I'm based then. All right. That is all I got tonight. Matty Bracco, nice to see you, man. Oh, but that's funny. Yeah, I got some stuff I got to do before work tomorrow. So that is all I got for this evening. Thank you everybody for hanging out. Matty Bracco, Archangel, DM 00097, Blue Katu. What else we got in here? Yara, nice to see you. Wally World, I know I saw you earlier. Danger, like always, you're the man. All right. Yep. That is all I got for tonight. But before we get out of here, you know how we do it. We got to tell a joke from the greatest book ever written, The Truth About Chuck Norris. This is the sequel to that book. Chuck Norris Cannot Be Stopped, courtesy of Danger here in the chat. You know the rules. I open the book. My eyes go to a joke and I read it. Sometimes the joke is good. Sometimes it's not. Let's see what we have tonight. Oh no, I've already read that joke. Okay, we'll go to this one. Chuck Norris makes the world go round. He literally spins it with his index finger. And on that note, stay CaliBased. See you on Wednesday, folks. Thanks for hanging out.